Eco Red.
Radical Radio Collective.
4ZZZ.
Good afternoon, listeners. You're tuned in to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. This is Eco Radio, Australia's longest running peace and environment radio show.
Yes, I think that's statistically probable.
We are taking over your middle of the day, middle of the week, middle-ish of the month airwaves. My name is Dave. My pronouns are he, him.
Hello, Dave. My name's Andy, and my pronouns are he, him.
And we want to start off by acknowledging and paying our respects to the custodians in the country in which we broadcast. We're located in the city Mungin, or Mianjin, on Turrbal Yagara Yugapa land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Cubby Cubby and Unibara country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east, we pay our respects to the Quandamooka people, and down south we reach the Commonwealth, Nigaragua, Munjali, Wanjerabara, Yugambeh and Bunjalung countries. Also, thank you to No Idea for all the great ideas. I loved all the stories, but I was at Toohey Forest Environment Centre on the weekend, and they have some phasmids, or stick insects. So when No Idea was talking about how insects used to be so much larger, I was thinking, well, I don't know, stick insects are pretty large as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But they can get a lot bigger. So those are already really big. I was wondering how big prehistoric insects can be.
Frighteningly big.
Yeah, so the Anthroplera, something like that, is a millipede, or was one of the early millipedes. It could be 2 metres long, 50 centimetres wide,
all right,
and weigh 50 kilos.
Jeez, okay.
So
you wouldn't want one of those crawling in bed with you?
No, you lift up the corrugated iron and one of those pops out.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm shitting my pants. That's insane. Well, today on the program, we're going to be talking to the Queensland Renewable Energy Council CEO, Katie Ann Mulder. We'll be talking about renewable energy and the hopes of becoming 100% renewable by 2050. That's what we've got. We'll also talk a bit about plants.
Yes.
And maybe the most important plant to
the planet.
Yes. So send in your guesses, because Andy has this for us later. What is the most important plant to the planet?
In a climate sense, yes.
In a climate sense, which is also a human sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And just in case you're not going to be listening later to the show in the Bushcare Roundup, there is going to be a huge, party or gathering at Victoria Park at Barrambin this Saturday. It's called Caring for Barrambin Day. And speakers at the event will include Auntie Sandra King, Uncle Coco Wharton. There'll be cultural performances. There will be activities planned for the day, yarning circle, mausoleum to language. There'll be tours and talks, sacred spring, ancient trees. And then at the end, that's from 10 till 2. After that, you can head down to Ibis Island and join Linda and CJ. They're going to be making zines. There's just a heap to do at Victoria Park this Saturday.
A great celebration of the cultural connection to country in that area.
Yeah. So, if you're around on Saturday, I highly recommend going there and having some fun. Sylvie just texted in, I guess this is about the importance of a plant, algae.
Oh, yeah. Okay, pretty close.
Pretty close, but no cigar.
Yeah, I'm not talking about algae.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to start playing some songs that I think are a pretty good playlist for rainy days. We're going to start off with John Baptiste. This is Petrichor. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
The Sterling Cannon are a guitar-driven, well-oiled harmony machine. This local Brisbane outfit brings their atmospheric and uplifting performance and their uniquely Brisbane sound to Right Here, Right Now on May 19. Right Here, Right Now airs Tuesday evening from 6pm on 4ZZZ.
You are listening to 4ZZZ. We just heard then from John Baptiste with Petrichor and Limp of Faith with Tension, a couple of rainy day songs for you. And on the line now, I've got Queensland Renewable Energy Council CEO, Katie Ann Mulder. Katie, can you hear me?
Hi, Dave. I can hear you well.
Okay, fantastic. Could you start off by telling us what is the Queensland Renewable Energy Council and how does it help bring renewable energy to Queensland?
Sure. So the Queensland Renewable Energy Council, or QREC, we've been around for a couple of years. We're actually we're an industry association, so we represent large-scale utility renewable energy developers. So big solar farms, wind farms, big batteries. So not home batteries, but, big batteries for system strength and to soak up all that wonderful solar during the day and provide it in the evenings to lower the price of energy, as well as big pumped hydro projects. So we've got we've got the Wivenhoe pumped hydro facility in Queensland. We've got another one being built up in North Queensland and a few more planned along the way across the state.
Okay, so what does Queensland need to be 100% renewable? Are these like lots of big projects, lots of small projects?
Yeah, so Queensland, we're, termed the Sunshine State. So we're really blessed with having not only the resources in the ground, we are a coal state and we've got a lot of gas, but we've also got a lot of solar and we've got a lot of wind as well. We're actually, got some of the best wind resources in the country, which is great, and it blows at a different time of day than other wind in other parts of the country, which makes it really helpful that, when it blows, it's at night and you've got solar during the day. So 100% renewables, you mentioned, we're certainly working towards more renewable energy in the market at the moment. So Queensland, we're really good at getting rooftop solar on our roofs, and we've got some programs around how you complement that with home batteries, and certainly the technology with electric vehicles is shifting that space as well. When it comes to large-scale development, our customers are, the IKEAs and the Rio Tintos of the world, even Woolworths, Coles, and other big energy users. So they're the ones that typically buy our energy, as well as, smaller and medium-term businesses and all Queenslanders across the state. And it's really important that we move to a lower emission energy system, as well as one that's, can be reliable across the board, and that's what renewables provides. We're not reliant on a resource like something in the ground to dig out and put into a generator. It's there. It's from the sun and from the wind, which is pretty reliable. And the technology now is fantastic in that, it's becoming more efficient. The solar technology, how much can be used and put into the grid, is pretty incredible these days. And we're moving more and more towards that space now. Queensland's pretty important along, not just for Queensland and the energy that we deliver to Queensland homes and businesses, but also our contribution to the national electricity market and homes and businesses in southern states as well.
Yeah, right.
Queensland is typically an exporter, and we'll continue to do that because we have these wonderful resources at our fingertips.
Yeah, okay. Well, Queensland's Crisafulli government has said that it supports net zero carbon emissions by 2050. However, it's paused some renewable projects and extended coal-fired power plants. What do you see is happening with the Liberal government's approach to renewable energy?
So I think the approach is energy abundance and looking at all generations of energy to provide that energy abundance. Where you have abundance, you have a lower cost of supply in the short term as we do transition to different types of generation of electricity, and that's really important. I think for Queensland, we're in an interesting space because we have some of the oldest coal-fired power stations, like the Gladstone Power Station, but we also have some of the youngest coal-fired power stations in Australia. So we do have some time to build out this new infrastructure, which is really important. What we really support in the energy roadmap that was released in October last year by the Crisafulli government, there's a really strong platform there for renewables and storage in regards to batteries, large-scale batteries and pumped hydro. But what's really important in there as well is that it's no new coal-fired power stations. So the plan is to run those assets for as long as they can technically run, and we're building out that new fleet of generation infrastructure assets to go forward with a strong renewable future. So that's great to see. We've seen some changes in the last 12 months from the government around how our industry, a large-scale industry, develops in regional Queensland in regards to providing community benefits as a standard across the state. That was already leading practice within our industry, but certainly having a standard arrangement across the board for all developers is a good thing. That standardised process ensures that there's predictability of the process, and we know that that's supported by government. So where you can reach an agreement with a local government around what are the long-term community benefit from, say, a wind farm or a solar farm, then you can proceed to the development application process for your wind farm or solar farm. This is pretty aligned with what other states do, and it's really around how do you develop responsibly, how do you ensure that the community supports these developments, because ultimately it is to ensure that we all have hot showers with the lights on at the end of the day, which we all like. But they do need to be supported by community, and we do have that support out in regional Queensland, and it's wonderful to see our developers work so closely with local government and the broader community to bring these projects to life.
Well, you talk about the regional communities. More and more I'm seeing reports of anti-renewable campaigns based on human or sometimes environmental impact. Recently there was the Channel 7 spotlight on the horrific conditions in some mines that have supplied batteries, minerals for batteries in the past. How does the Queensland Renewable Energy Council respond to these anti-renewable campaigns?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because, like any industry, renewables, our industry, we need to provide the facts about what we do. And it's really disappointing when some of those false claims are reported and then re-reported. So as an industry, we need to be really clear about who we are and who we work with. That program, there was also a Media Watch spotlight on that report, which highlighted a more factual approach to that. So I'd really encourage your listeners on the phone to go and watch that Media Watch episode that was just after that Channel 7 spotlight came out. And similar to mining and agriculture as well, you work with landholders and stakeholders and every level of government, from local government, state government and federal government, on what their concerns might be. They might have concerns around, they don't want to look at a wind turbine, or, there might be, they might want to put a visual barrier from a solar farm, all those sorts of things, similar to, how you offset impacts to other large-scale developments like mining and gas extraction. Very similar sort of approaches, and it's going to be different depending on the community. We are a really big state. There are some developments in our state that, their nearest neighbour is almost a European country away in terms of size. But as you get closer to the coast, those sorts of offsets to impacts are really important.
Well, talking about the community there, a lot of concerns are over environmental impact. We talked to the Youngler Save Youngler campaign about the pumped hydro up there. Where is the line for Queensland Renewable Energy Council when it comes to environmental impact? Is it that there should not be any environmental impact on vulnerable species, or is there a cost analysis, benefit analysis on where it's okay?
Yeah, it's a good question, Dave. We're like every other industry where there is going to be an impact, and we don't want to shy away from that. We are, there is, we do need to clear areas for roads and things like that to get big infrastructure through. So there certainly is an impact. But like any type of development, so we've got very stringent environmental laws in Australia, both at the state level and at the federal level. We saw last night in the budget some initiatives around the Environmental Protection Biodiversity Act reforms, and how that process of assessment will work in practice, and that agreement with each state and territory jurisdiction, how that's applied on the ground in each state. But every project has to go through a very rigorous environmental impact assessment process. Those processes, I'm aware, in some areas of Queensland can take up to 5 years. I'm not saying that they should take 5 years. I think they should take a lot less. But I think, proper mapping, and I think the big issue that we've got, that every industry has got as well, is more so around what's the next step that we can do to protect nature, which is around cumulative impact. We know that, as the population, we reach in Queensland 2 million people in 2 years in 2028. We have the highest interstate migration in some parts of the country, which is significant. So that's brilliant, and we love that. But we also need to build out the infrastructure to support that, just like we do with housing, upgrades to roads and bridges, all those sorts of things. So there is going to be an impact. We do go through a robust environmental approval process. The next step is, how do we manage the cumulative impact of development? And I think the federal government, with the recent reforms coming out from last year on the EPBC Act, has been really, really positive around the regional plans and that approach to ensure that you do a regional assessment approach, capturing those impacts as a region. So that's really positive. We would have, obviously loved to have seen that happen, 10 years ago, because we do have a lot of large-scale development in Queensland. But it's great to see that the environmental the department that manages environmental assessment and regulates the conditions on projects is looking in that direction.
Okay, thank you very much, Katie, for joining us. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Support renewables. If you've got an opportunity to have solar on your roof, the more solar that we have during the day is certainly helpful. It's not just the lowest cost form of energy, but the most reliable as well. So absolutely support that, and let's work together on a low emission future.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Katie Ann Mulder, the CEO of Queensland Renewable Energy Council. Let's go to a song now. This is Waiting for Brenda with Day Old Roses. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
Cats are cute. However, they're descendants of wild predators. So be mindful of our native wildlife and keep your cat in your home. And protect your couch.
4ZZZ cares about our communities.
We sure do. This is 4ZZZ. We are Eco Radio. My name's Dave.
And I'm Andy.
And we just heard then from Waiting for Brenda with Day Old Roses. I'm doing a bit of a rainy day playlist. Not specifically songs about rain, but songs that just fit with a rainy day. And I think that Waiting for Brenda song is part of that.
Nice one. Yeah.
We did just talk to the Queensland Renewable Energy Council, and we got a text in from one of our subs, Celestica, saying, what a load of spin. I think with these large councils or industry councils, there is a, need to not ruffle feathers or keep everything the status quo in some ways.
Yeah. I tend to agree that it did feel like a bit of a spin on the renewable energies. I have seen that a lot of renewable projects have been put on hold or stopped completely with the change of government. It's hard to sort of see, like, why has that happened? Is it an ideological shift because of the government, or is it a general concerns about some of these projects? And sure enough, there are environmental concerns with them, but again, there's a lot of community, not in my backyard sort of approach as well. We saw with the Pioneer Bedekin and the Save Youngala thing that it's an interesting project, but I agree that it was totally in the wrong place.
Yeah.
What's the other one? The Moonlight Ridge or something?
I don't know that one.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's a big grassroots, or not necessarily grassroots. They can often or sometimes be pushed by mining interests or maybe like conservative interests and not in the we like to conserve nature way, but in the this is ideologically against what I believe in conservative way, and they can amplify community concerns and push misinformation about renewable energy projects. I think it was good having Katie on. We often talk to radical groups or more grassroots groups, and I think it's good to often juxtapose that with some industry groups that it is a business for them.
Yeah, exactly. So they want to work with government, not against government, to try and get us on track to the 2050 target. So, yep.
Yeah. And you just went up to Youngula recently, right, Andy?
Oh, I've been going up there quite often for the past couple of years, yeah.
Did you see any platypus? Platypus?
Yeah, I did, up in Broken River. But also getting in some really interesting areas up there. It's a beautiful part of the country, and it's like a little hidden gem. You know, people think of Queensland and rainforest and they think of the wet tropics or
the danger
or Lamington National Park, but they don't really keep Youngula in mind. So it's sort of like was this hidden gem for a while there. So.
Yeah, I've never been, but I've been told that it's like the most reliable place to see platypi.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm going to have to do it.
And you know, Youngula's the from the Indigenous word for land of clouds. So so make sure you pack your wet weather gear when you're going up there.
Because so it's quite high up. It has like cloud forests.
Some of the high peaks have high incidence of clouds, but because it's higher than the surrounding landscape, it does get that cloud forming up there, and it's just beautiful. And I kind of think that maybe Youngula should be called Land of Leeches as well, because it's one of the spots.
You're copying it?
Yeah, one of the spots where, you know, the amount of leeches up there is just incredible.
People pay a lot of money to have leech therapy, Andy, and you're getting it for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And Celestica also texted us in and said, I love that you give the other side a voice. Yeah, I think it's important to talk to a lot of different sources. There's no point in just listening or preaching to the choir. I think, read widely, listen widely.
Yeah.
And make up your own mind. Unlike some other radio stations that have the tagline "Don't think," I think that here at 4ZZZ we like to think. Think.
So not only do we have that diversity of shows and things, we also presenting that diversity of ideas.
Ideas and opinions. Yeah, absolutely. And if you like what we do here on 4ZZZ, in general, or if you're a fan of us specifically, you can go to 4zzz.org.au and become part of the family. You can subscribe for as little as $25 for under 18s or pets. Very interchangeable group, those two. And concession is $40. A full subscription is $80. And a passionate subscription is $140. If you're passionate about community radio, I highly recommend becoming part of the family. Not only would you get a tote and a T-shirt, which is an awesome design, but also you can go to subscriber discount outlets like my friends at Reverse Garbage Queensland. Tell them Dave sent you. They'll give you a crisp high five. Or you can go to Oxlade's art store. There's a whole bunch. You can go to Scratch Bar.
Yep.
You can go to Felons.
Downs Shoes.
There's so many. Just have a look on their website. Anytime you're about to step out of the house, you might be stepping into a subscriber discount outlet. I really appreciate everyone who does. Andy, you started off the show with a question for us.
That's
What
right.
is the most important plant for the climate? And in going further, it would be for us as well, humans. We did get some texts in with answers. One was algae, and then seaweed. And the seaweed is algae.
It is, yep.
And also fungi. Are fungi plants?
No, they're genetically more closely related to animals than they are to plants. So they're in there's their own kingdom. There's some amazing organisms that they are. Slime molds and their ability to actually creep across the surface and things like that. And
all right. Well, we're going to go to a song real quick, and we'll be back with the answer. If you have an answer you want to try out for what is the most important plant to the climate, text it in to 0420 626 733, and we'll be back after this. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
You're listening to Eco Radio on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. Everything's connected.
Everything is connected. You are listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio. My name is Dave.
And I'm Andy.
And we were asking... that was Arianda with Hearts Collide. Another little song that I've put into my raining day mix. And we were asking... Andy's been asking everyone what the most important plant for the climate is. We've got some guesses. Jody just texted in saying, could phytoplankton be our most important plant? Wavy, Eco Radio legend, texted in grasses, ? And I feel like a lot of these from, I guess, like size of distribution.
Yep.
So a lot of them are saying, oh, well, it has to be something that there's a lot of, right? I think that's a great guess. My guess was acacias because it's my favourite. But we did get a text in from, let me look. We did get a text in from Andrea, who said, "Hi guys, maybe moss?" ?
Okay.
Very good, Andrea.
But,
winner.
just to...
Moss in general.
No, not moss in general, a specific moss, all right? So, sphagnum, our old friend sphagnum.
Sphagnum moss.
They think is probably one of the most important plants for the climate on the planet. And now I have to give you a bit of a science background. So this is probably getting into the no idea sort of side of things. Yeah. So we have to talk about the ecology of sphagnum and the morphology of the plant itself. Now, sphagnum is a really unusual moss compared to other mosses. So most mosses' leaves are only one cell thick, while sphagnum, their leaves have got multiple cell layers.
Okay.
And in amongst those cells are these big empty cells. They're dead cells called hydrocysts. And these hydrocysts basically fill up with water when water is available.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that sphagnum can hold up to 20 times its dry weight in water. All right? So keep
20 times?
20 times its weight in water. So hence it being an important part of the nursery industry and things like that. Okay, but we have to also dig a bit deeper. So sphagnum's also been classed as an ecosystem engineer. So what that means is that it actually creates the environment perfect for sphagnum rather than other plants. So they actually release hydrogen ions into the water because they absorb a lot of water. They occur in wet areas, most boggy areas with standing water. They're releasing hydrogen ions into that water, and that decreases the acidity down to like a pH of 3, which is around the acidity of acetic acid vinegar. So, so a lot of plants don't like those acid environments, but sphagnum love it.
Right.
Okay. So now we've got this watery, acidic environment, all right? So what happens is that the sphagnum, the top of the plant stays alive, but underneath is all the dead and dying bits, okay? So because it's in a wet environment, it's anaerobic, it's acidic, that material disaccumulates. It doesn't really decay, okay? It disaccumulates in what we call peat, all right?
Yes,
so
okay, peat.
Peat bogs.
Peat bogs, yeah.
So peat bogs are very important. They had peat cutters go out and cut peat for heating and things like that. Sphagnum has a multitude of uses. In World War I, because of its acidic properties and its high absorbency, it was used for wound dressings, so absorbing blood and having that antiseptic quality. So they had women going out and collecting sphagnum to be in field hospitals for wound dressings.
Yeah, right.
So we got this peat forming, okay? So it's actually this enormous amount of carbon being stored in these peat areas, okay? So they even think that the the sphagnum bogs around the world contain more carbon than all the forests of the world combined.
Yeah, right.
So-
That's because of the anaerobic conditions, because things aren't breaking down.
Yep.
So that means that the carbon is stored there and it stays there.
Exactly.
So if we were to, cut down a tree, the carbon would stay there for a while, but eventually that tree breaks down.
Yep.
It either breaks down through, mycelium that's breaking it down, or rotting or whatever.
Yep.
And that releases the carbon back into the environment
atmosphere.
and
Yeah,
the
that's right.
atmosphere. Yeah.
Yep.
But in these peat bogs,
Yep.
it doesn't.
No, that's right. It's just stored
It
there.
stays there.
Yeah.
That's why they've also found like a lot of old, like ancient skeletons and bodies and stuff in peat bogs,
that's right. Up in the northern hemisphere, and if you want to go down a rabbit hole, look up bog bodies, and they find these perfectly preserved bodies that have been put into the peat. Originally, they thought they were like murder victims that were tossed into the bogs
because they were still so fresh.
Yeah, and they had some of them had their wrists bound or their feet bound, but some of them they believe were sacrifices. Like if the village was going through a run of bad seasons, they would ask for a volunteer to sacrifice themselves to the to the gods
interred in the mog,
and thrown into the bogs.
Yeah.
And these bodies, if you see some photos online, they just look like people having a nap, like this, having this really serene look on their face, like, so bog bodies.
Okay.
Sphagnum. There you go, our friend sphagnum. In Australia, we've got, I think it's 6 species of sphagnum.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 4 species of sphagnum in Queensland, so usually people think of sphagnum bogs in more cool areas, but no, we've got them here, some up Springbrook, on the Sunshine Coast, like there's one that occurs near the Heathlands, up on the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't form the bogs like they do up in more cooler areas.
So what does it form? It just forms layers on the ground, or?
Yep, and helps with that the acidic sort of water environments. And again, that's we've got acid frogs and things like that live in those acidic waters.
Yeah, right.
And one of our threatened ecological communities in Australia is the sphagnum bogs in the alpine areas. So.
Right.
So there you go. There's a bit of a deep dive into sphagnum. I'm not saying that algae are not important. They definitely are. They're another big source of sucking into carbon and producing oxygen for our air. The grasses are in a family of Poaceae, which are an incredibly useful family of plants, wheat, barley, rice, anything like that we use for in our food and drinks and things like that. So
so the sphagnum there's a lot of it, right?
Yep.
And that's also one of the reasons that it's so important.
Yeah. So if you look at in the northern hemisphere, the higher latitudes going towards the pole, you're getting a lot of the more vascular plants dropping out, but the sphagnum forming these large areas of peat bogs and things like that. Sphagnum. We do use sphagnum still in the nursery industry, but it is highly regulated. So I think we import some sphagnum from New Zealand that's sustainably harvested, and some from Tasmania.
Right, and that gets used, I don't know if inoculated is the right word, but that gets used in conjunction with growing new plants that keep the moisture in the soil.
Yep. And there has been a move away from actually using the peat because of that problem of drying out those peat bogs and releasing that enormous amount of carbon back into the atmosphere. So that's a big issue, that if these peat bogs do dry out and catch fire, then that's just going to be an enormous release of carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. So,
whoa, right on. Thanks so much, Andy. That was great.
No worries.
Yeah, I love learning about sphagnum moss.
If we've got time, There's this wonderful book called Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer.
Yes, yeah.
And she talks about some indigenous uses of mosses, particularly sphagnum. So sphagnum was used by indigenous women for nappies and feminine hygiene products.
Yeah,
and
right.
she has this great story about these early ethnobotanists, which were men, going out and asking the indigenous men about plant use. And of course, this were plants being used by women, so the men didn't talk about it to the ethnobotanists. So the ethnobotanists didn't record sphagnum being used by the indigenous women.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Times don't change. Time is a flat circle. Thanks for that, Andy. Robin Wall Kilmer wrote Braiding Sweetgrass as well, which is a fantastic book.
Yep.
I haven't read the Moss one, but I'll add it to the list. Marky texted in. He's not telling us where he is today, but he is wet. He's absolutely saturated. Yeah, it's a wet one today. Let's go do the Bushcare Roundup real quick. Eco Radio Bushcare Roundup.
It's a Bushcare Roundup. They've been pulling out weeds and then they put in trees. It's the Bushcare Roundup.
All right, Andy, can you kick us off with the Bushcare Roundup?
I should love to. Saturday the 16th, 8:30 to 10:30, community planting Bushcare native food forest at the John Street Reserve, Rosewood. At 9 o'clock, Sheep Station Creek Conservation Park Working Bee, and that's at Tinney Road, Upper Caboolture. 9 to 12, Norman Creek Paddle Against Plastic by N4C, and that's at Heath Park, East Brisbane. So maybe you need to have a kayak or something to
you can have a kayak. You can borrow one.
Okay.
I think they have some, but you have to register.
Okay.
So register as soon as you can for that.
And of course, at 10 o'clock, we've got the Caring for Barrambin Day at the Safe Victoria Park at Herston, which Dave had talked about earlier.
Yeah, so speakers at the event include Arnie Sandra King, Uncle Coco Wharton. There'll be cultural performances. You can go to the Yarning Circle. There'll be tours about sacred springs and ancient trees. And then that's 10 till 2. And then after that, you can head down to Ibis Island in Victoria Park and join Linda and CJ. They're going to be making zines. So much to do at Victoria Park on Saturday.
That's great. And get behind that. And at 12:30, Insects and Bioblitz, and that's at THECA at the Hut at Chapel Hill.
Yep. On Sunday the 17th at 8 o'clock, you can go to the Friends of White Hill Reserve Working Bee. That's at, surprise, surprise, Whites Hill Reserve. At 8 o'clock, you can go to the Great Glossy Count Walk, and there's also a Carricks Creek restoration. That's Carricks Creek, Carricks Road, Springbrook. At 1 o'clock, you can go to the Nakba commemoration rally, commemorating the Nakba in Palestine. That's at Queen's Garden in Brisbane. And at 2:30, you can go to the Kenmore South Bushcare Group. That's at Aberfoyle Street in Kenmore. They actually need more bush carers there. So if you're close by or you like to get involved and help out, there are people in need for that in Kenmore. Check them out. Kenmore's actually got some great bush. I was there once. I saw the biggest fig tree I ever seen in Brisbane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's quite large. It's near the school. If you know it, you'll understand why it's so impressive. It's just straight up and down. It's obviously, you know how fig trees will, if they're planted in an open area where they don't need to fight for light, they'll just spread out.
Yep.
They'll get wide. This tree is obviously fought for the light, so it'd be a remnant. So it's just straight up, trying to break through that canopy and get the light. And yeah, it's very tall, very wide. It's nice example.
Yeah, well, Fig Tree Pocket was named after a massive fig tree up in that area.
Yeah. absolutely. And Fig Tree Pocket, not as big fig trees anymore.
No.
I don't mean to get stuck into this, but I see those old pictures of people standing in front of fig trees, and they are absolutely dwarfed.
Yep.
They are even dwarfed by the buttress roots.
Yeah.
And it's just, why did we cut them down?
Yeah, exactly.
They're so massive and beautiful.
Yep.
Anyways, I could go on, and I probably will. But we've got to hand over. Thanks so much for listening in today. Stick around for the feedback loop with Imogen and Sophie. I'm really enjoying having them as neighbours. You've been listening to 4ZZZ. This has been Eco Radio.
4ZZZ. Eco Radio.
Radical Radio Collective.
4ZZZ.